Cassie Russek, Alexei Dmitriew, and Lindsay McGowan. You guys led the hair and makeup teams for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And this movie, I understand, set a world record for the most prosthetics makeup, the biggest prosthetics makeup in film history. You stole it from the How the Grinch Stole Christmas, I understand. So what were the final numbers? It's close to like 23,000, right?
I can't remember what exactly it was. I'm terrible. I should have
I think it
written
was
down.
22,540.
Okay.
Yeah.
40 or 42, something like that. I can't remember. Yeah, it was something like
that.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
We might have missed a lip out. I might have missed a lip, counting a lip or something. Yes.
And there were like what, 1,000 actors involved too?
Yeah, definitely. It was like over 1,000 actors with background included, and then we had a cast of like 60 plus, I think, something like that. And so it was quite a few people, and it was not all at once, but sometimes a lot of that. Sometimes our daily number would be up to like 390 people going through our hair and makeup trailers, with including background and including our cast. Yeah, so it was cast and stunts. So it was a lot. It was a big undertaking.
So when you do have just sheer volume like that, how do you begin? Like you have to be incredibly organized, of course, and then you're leading your team. So how do you keep track of everything and like who's working on who, and then just the designs themselves?
It's a big question, right? Because from the designs, Legacy works with James Gunn, and it's we've established a bunch of stuff. This has been an established world, but then we added in a bunch of new animals and Humanimals and a bunch of new designs and everything like that. So that stuff is already placed, right? And then the AD department, everybody kind of places it where it goes, and then really it's Cassie and I figuring out what the teams are, how big of everybody that we need, and then just like you said, being very organized. And so it's just we tried to set up our teams the best we could, because also too we did this at the height of COVID, right? And so we had people that were contact tracing still. We had trailers that were getting completely removed at the beginning of the day. We were having a scramble to come up with numbers. So production was very aware of that and friendly with us when we had to bob and weave. But we took the time to, at the beginning of the show, we took the time to give everybody classes and educate everybody on all the different looks and all the different, especially the Guardian looks and the key looks. So if somebody had to leave, then we had a replacement. We had people to know how to do those key signature looks, and so that was I think a big part of our success.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of communication on our end too, tracking everything, and then making sure that Cassie and Alexei had what they needed on a daily basis. So there was an awful lot of back and forth between us. They had their all of their Excel sheets of tracking things, and then we had ours over here to make sure that we had the right thing cast and pre-painted and sent out to set. So there's an awful lot of coordination between all three of us that had to happen on that movie.
Mm-hmm.
We were so lucky to have such a great communication between the three of us, because it was such a massive volume of things. Like there would be days where Alexei and I were casting people per face, per faces, per hair, and so we would be like calling each other. Does this person fit? Does this person fit? We'd be calling Lindsay going, okay, I think we can make this person work for this. So there was a lot of communication between the three of us. And we're so lucky, I guess, that we just communicated, I think, pretty calm and brilliantly during the whole thing.
Yeah, it was great.
And within our wardrobe department too, with Juliana Makovsky and all of her team as well, there was a lot of there's to create these looks. It's not just hair and makeup as well; it's a whole everybody. So on these shows, and especially on Guardians of the Galaxy, we the culture there is to everybody to talk and everybody to communicate and everybody to come. We time everything out together. So it's a really great collaboration.
Yeah, for sure. I love this trilogy too, because and then in all the designs and the makeup and everything, you could see how it kind of builds on the first two films, and also what we've seen in Infinity War and Endgame, like the characters and how they've grown. You could see it visually too, like especially with Nebula this time, like she doesn't have a lot of the cybernetic stuff anymore in her look. So can you talk about updating and revamping her look for volume 3?
Yeah, I mean, for her, I mean, her look changed, because the story necessitated that, where Rocket had upgraded her, and so we got to design all of her arm weapons as well as her new face appliances, and so we worked very closely with Alexei whilst he was here in LA before he had to go to Atlanta to set up all of that work there. And so it was a great opportunity for us to make her, upgrade her, not only with the look of her, but how we were actually approaching making the appliances. So we try to do, every time we revisit a character, we're trying to improve on what we did the previous times. And having had the opportunity to do her on so many movies now, each time we try to make it more comfortable for the actor. And in this particular case, we had to we came up with a quicker way of getting some of the appliances to be put on her. But I think Alexei and Cassie can talk more about the actual application process of the new look for Nebula.
Well, yeah, I mean, James Gunn's stories are so full of heart and humanity, and even just the Nebula getting her cybernetic eye away, that's just part of that storyline, right? Part of that humanity factor that Rocket and Nebula on, from Endgame spent so much time with each other on a ship, and then they really got to know each other, so they became really good friends. So he fixed her. So even without spelling that out in the movie, that was part of that humanity, part of that storyline that we got to see and experience. And so it's just little things like that that really made this movie so heartfelt and so amazing. And and for us, it's just working with Cassie and making sure that we just we do the best we can with the look and do honor to it from all the movies that it's done. And Cassie, they had I think a very hard job to do, because Karen has such long hair and it's so full. It's a wonderful head
And
of
she
hair.
didn't
And so
shave this time, right?
oh no, she didn't even cut it this time. So
No,
so we
was
had
about
such
to
a
get
challenge.
married. Yeah, she was
We
about
had a
to
bit
get
of a
married.
challenge.
So we wanted to make sure that this time, I think her marriage, without giving anything away, her marriage was pretty quick after shooting, I think. And so we wanted to make sure that not only were we keeping her hair in good hair health, but we had to make sure that we could get that all in that bald wrap this time, with no haircut, no shaved head, no undercut, because we want to make sure that the actors are happy at the end of the day while maintaining the look. So yeah, it was a bit of a challenge. That was Sean Smith has been her hairdresser for gosh, guys, how many films? So many films. And he's been able to get Karen's hair so perfect. It's great.
Mhm. I did love when she posted like her screenshot from her Zoom like marriage counseling, and she was still in character because she forgot about it.
Yeah. Yeah, she would sneak off sometimes and you don't know where she is. So we're like, well, we don't know what's happening. No, we didn't even know that was a thing until she posted it as well. Then all of us all together were in shock. So we're like, huh?
Yeah. Well, there's some new characters, new planets, new designs this film, like you mentioned, the Humanimals, which are just so incredible, half human, half animal hybrids. How much of the designs were just what James Gunn envisioned, and you guys like trying to carry out what he wanted?
Well, James is a great collaborator, and he is very, very good about letting you stretch your wings and doing what you want to do. And so we got a fantastic opportunity on this movie to create and design these characters that sometimes you don't normally get. And so, there was descriptions in the script, and there was specific animals that he wanted to have within the Humanimal world. But basically, it was kind of like, just, do your thing, figure it out. And so we spent a long time designing the characters, and we would show James, and be back and forth. But we had a great team of concept artists working here to come up with that. And Alexei, you were here before going to Atlanta, so Alexei would come in and he'd talk about it as well. And same with Cassie, would see the designs, and there'd be a lot of collaboration on how the look was going to happen and how we broke it down, because we actually got the opportunity as well to do a lot of things that hadn't been done before, certainly here, where we would make rapid prototype ears for the bat family. So there was some translucency to them, and if you get them magneted on and off of this framework that they were wearing. So there was a lot of things that we talked about a lot and took into consideration the wardrobe team to make sure that they could get their costumes on and off easily by taking the ears off separately, and then they could get their things on and then kind of finish off. But yeah, it was a really fun part of the job on this movie, was to come up with this whole new world. I think if you want to talk any more about that, Alexei and Cassie.
Yeah, it was such a really cool moment in filming, because we knew it was coming and we've been prepping as we were going and as everything was ready, but we didn't start really shooting that until like the third quarter of the film. So all of a sudden we switched into this completely different palette, into a completely different, we had these different hair things, and all these animal things that we were putting on, and all these really cool rapid prototype elements. And so it almost was like we were starting a whole new movie, if you will, because it was just a whole new experience, and we were in a different location, so we had to move everything, and just the logistics of it we're figuring out. So we were doing about 30 plus Humanimals in makeup, plus we had our cast, and then we had about 30 people in the background that had masks and gloves on. So we had 80, 90 people that we were all putting in makeup, and everybody there, I think except for Chris Pratt, was all in full prosthetic makeup those days, right? And yeah. So it was like I said, again, it was a lot of logistics, a lot of figuring things out, but also really the teams had so much fun. It was such really great designs and so much fun to do all these makeups, and they all had contacts and teeth and and all this stuff. And the actors, when they got in the roles, they became these animals for the first time, and and everybody started to walk around crazy and do a thing and try to figure out what it is. So it was a really unique and special moment for us to experience during that film.
It was like Christmas Day. Every time a box would come in from Legacy, we would get these boxes that were, these huge boxes. We'd rip them open and pull it out. And we'd be like, oh my gosh. I remember specifically the day we got the porcupine, I pulled that wig out and I was like, I'm doing this. We used to kind of like, everyone, when we would get the boxes, everyone in the hair trailer would go like, I'm doing that one. I want to do that one. I remember getting porcupine.
Dibs, like, no, you can't.
Dibs. That one. I remember I was like, I'm doing porcupine. This is the coolest wig I've ever seen. But yeah, it was like Christmas Day. And so we would take everything out. We would log everything in of what we had. And then we would kind of assess. We would look at the costumes and we would say like, okay, because the Humanimals were living in Counter Earth, which was sort of this like weird sort of dystopian, like 80s, kind of like a Wheaties box almost. And so we were trying to match everything up so that they would look 80s, but also look like animals. So some people were getting like mohawks, but with like curls, or a perm, but like wild so that they looked like a warthog or something like that. So it was really interesting for us as we were opening the boxes that were coming in. We would decide each one, okay, what does this costume look like? Let's figure it out. How much animal do they look? How human do they look? We had a lot of fun. Like Alexei said, it was kind of like the thing you dream about when you're on set and you're doing something and you see what creativity you get to do. And again, like Lindsay said, James Gunn is so great about keeping practical effects alive, and he lets you create. And that's like the most magical thing, when you just get to like be creative yourself and just be an artist.
And I'm sure it's helpful to the actors too, because it's real, it's tactile.
Oh,
You don't have to imagine it, even though they can.
We would talk to each person and go like, what do you think about, like, if you were in this character? I know there was one hyena, he kind of looked like my dad. And so no, he did, you guys, he did. And we gave him this persona. I named him Terry Eugene, which is my dad's name. And he got this kind of like dad-like persona. And it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with those characters.
Yeah.
So much fun.
I loved the not only the porcupine, but I loved the postal worker. I thought she looked awesome. That the hair just looked so amazing with the colors and her bird skin.
Yes.
So
that paint was so cool because the beak had these colors that kind of whooshed up. And so we managed to line it up so perfect, from the paint, the beak, the wig. The colors were so brilliant. It was also one.
Oh, that was the blue one, right? I thought that was a fish at first. It's a bird. Because it's kind of like angular, but yeah. It's so much fun. Well, lastly, like, what was your favorite character to work on this time around? There's so many new ones, as you said, but you're obviously updating the old ones too. Was there a particular favorite?
It's hard to answer these kind of questions, because it's kind of like, who's your favorite kid? Because they're all your favorite kids, and I loved just the world that was created, from the first movie all the way through to the third movie, because each movie had its own thing. And, the Humanimals and the failed experiments, they're so out there that, they're personally, that it was great, a fantastic opportunity to do something that hadn't been done. But, I really don't have a favorite, because they're all my favorite. They really are.
It's all of Counter Earth and the Guardians.
And the Guardians, yeah.
Also, we're so lucky because the cast was so amazing. Everybody was so great. Everybody was so respectful of the process. So we really didn't have a bad experience with anybody that we were making up, whether it was prosthetic makeups, whether it was paint makeups, whether it was just beauty makeups. Like, it was a real pleasant experience. So, I did the High Evolutionary. I did Chuck Chukwudi makeup with my friend Scott Stoddard, and I really enjoyed working with Chuck. We had wonderful conversations. He's awesome, and so that was kind of my main makeup. But also I loved working with Will and Adam Warlock, and there was a bunch of stuff. Everybody was amazing. But I think because the High Evolutionary had 3 stages of makeup, right? He had his flashback look, which is the text, which that was a simple makeup, but it was a very clean makeup to do. And then the second makeup, with the skin stretched back and matching all the colors and getting the everything to line up, because it was a puzzle of a makeup, right? Everything kind of had to really line up to work. And then of course the third version, which was like this ripped off face that had a bunch of different elements to it. So that was a fun seeing a character go through different stages of makeup, not just doing one makeup on it. So that was for myself, that was a very awesome experience.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you do sort of gain like personal experiences when you spend so much time with everybody in the chair. So for me, I would probably say the same thing, that anyone who I spent the most time with. But I did have a particular fondness for the controller mole rat. She had no hair, so it was nothing for me. I just, for some reason, I found her. She was played by Natalia Safran, and I just found her to be so frightening, but elegant and beautiful, and just so frightening, but so beautiful. I just loved her. But yeah, how hard to pick. I mean, I think probably if I'm not going to pick a favorite character, I'm going to say that the experience as a whole was so incredible. So my favorite thing was the fact that we got to do a movie with everyone we loved, all of our best friends, and we got to have so many hair and makeup artists there. I mean, I think one of the days we had 150 or more hair and makeup artists, and they're all like our best friends and the most amazing artists, and it just felt like we were really getting to celebrate our craft.
That's
Yeah,
great.
for sure.
Yeah.
It sounds like it was just very inspiring
Yes,
working
that's
on.
my favorite character. I didn't
Think
answer
so.
your question.
Well, it was great speaking with all of you. Thank you so much for your time, and congratulations again on a great film and a great third act to a trilogy.
All right,
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you,
Thank you
Joyce.
so much.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.